Social media is...
I have no idea.
Social and media? Not really sure. I guess I don't know the answer to this question.
I have no idea what social media is.
I believe social media is websites of which you can display your art or music content.
The only thing I know about social media is what I heard from my daughter, my oldest daughter. I believe it has something to do with Facebook and MySpace and those new sites that all the kids use.
Social media is a way for people to be, keep in touch with each other, to communicate new ideas, new things going on.
What is social media? Social media is not defined in the dictionary. It is a new way of networking that allows people to convey their messages to the masses. Online tools that allow for participation, openness, conversation, connectedness, and community. These messages include the sharing of content, profiles, opinions, insights, experiences, perspectives, and media. This allows for direct contact between participants. The opposite of traditional media that is created for the people, social media is created and divided up by the people. From the beginning of time into the new millennium, people have been developing new systems to communicate with one another. New innovative technology has made it possible for people to interact in an increasingly global society. Tools like MySpace, Facebook, YouTube, Skype, just name a few, have altered communication in our daily lives.
Social media is affecting everything that people do today. Because of the internet, people are able to communicate one-on-one and one-to-many at very little cost.
I think Facebook and MySpace, I think it's an easy way for students to connect to each other.
Facebook, I use it for mostly everything. I go on it all the time.
Like especially in my age group and those younger than me love technology and they love quick, easy contact. So it's something new.
I check my Facebook about once a day.
We're seeing in lots of different situations people playing with the medium who put suggestive photos of themselves on MySpace, for example. And think it's fun at the time, and then when the prospective employer sees them, all of a sudden it's not so good.
I don't think so much now, but maybe later on when people are looking for jobs, I think that some of the stuff that they put on Facebook maybe would be a little offensive to people that are trying to hire them.
There is some impact on how employers find students. It is common for employers just to Google a student or a potential candidate. And so what happens is when you Google the person, Facebook now actually you can retrieve information.
I tend to make sure that I'm clean on Facebook.
Their reputations may be affected, their ability to get jobs, their ability to get into grad school or colleges or even private schools. And scholarships and internships might be affected. And when you run for president of the United States one day, the things that you said when you were 15 that would have been forgotten by everyone in real life doesn't get forgotten online.
You have to be ready for the consequences. If you're going to put something on there, then you're going to have to be ready to have people look at it.
The internet was a great invention, but it can, if it's not used properly, it can be dangerous and damaging.
That family talk, when you sit down with your kids and talk with them about problems they have, a lot of that sometimes I think gets lost into the computer world.
And sometimes when I get home from school I like to go on MySpace, talk with my friends, message them, sometimes I text them, spend hours on the computer.
I have seen his MySpace page and I have looked at the posts that his friends put on there and the list of his friends and their pictures and that kind of thing. But I have to say that I'm sure that there are things about MySpace that he knows that I don't.
You don't want to pry. You don't want to dig into every little thing because they're going to need to make mistakes and learn on their own. But you also don't want to just totally ignore what's going on in their lives. You need to be a part of their lives. That's what family's all about.
I honestly don't mind my mom and dad monitoring it, everything, because I think they're just doing their job and trying to keep me safe.
Another aspect of the electronic world that I'm not real fond of, when they're communicating through the electronic world, there's no need for person-to-person conversation, or less need.
Social media has extended itself to dating in a very robust way. where people who are looking for lifelong, meaningful relationships can go to the eHarmonies of the world and be matched with people through a social media environment that give them a much better chance of having a good relationship than the classic pickup in a bar.
I've resorted to the internet for dating purposes on multiple sites because I thought it would be a good avenue to meet people that I don't encounter in my work, in church. I thought it'd be a nice experience to meet new faces and people from all over the world.
Online dating, I don't really see the point. I think it's better just to meet people in person and try to get that actual personal interaction.
There's no one single danger for social media risks. It depends on the demographics of the users. It depends on the site. Perhaps the greatest risk is people not understanding the risks because they may share too much information. They may not realize how many trails of cyber breadcrumbs they leave behind them. They may think that they're protecting their reputation or their privacy in one location, but by very easily tracking the 5 sites that they're at on a regular basis, you can put together an entire profile.
One of my friends, Lindsay, she was online and some girl requested her. Well, she thought she was a girl, and it was this like 35-year-old guy who was posing as a 14-year-old.
I don't think that anybody's particularly safe online. I think that if somebody wants to find you, there's always a way to do that.
And I think the media is neutral. It's how it's used or misused that creates the risks. And I have a lot of very knowledgeable 13-year-olds who can handle themselves better online than some adults.
Everybody's going to have to learn the hard way what's okay to put on those accounts and what's not okay. Same as our generation had new things coming up that I'm sure our parents weren't prepared for.
I feel that I only give people that I know, or like I've called them and talked to them person to person, than I do give where I live.
Teen Angels is a program that we've developed in 1999 that trains teens and now preteens in our Tween Angel program to become experts that will train others. They learn everything about safety, privacy, responsible use. They understand piracy. They understand inappropriate content. They understand how the search engines work and meta tag fraud. They understand about identity theft. They understand about cyberbullying, cyberstalking, and harassment. They understand how internet sexual predators operate and how they can lure kids into believable situations by grooming them. They understand all of the issues from the public policy, from the practical perspective, and especially apply their kids' hats to the expertise that we're providing to them.
Everybody is looking at social media as being incredibly powerful. It is the marketplace of ideas, it is the marketplace of attitudes, it is the marketplace of fashion, and increasingly it's the marketplace of brands. It has changed the face of the advertising business. It has changed the way in which people communicate with one another.
I think people are using computers all the time now, especially YouTube, with video that tells where we're located, what we're about, a little bit of our background. Then the video is going to, demonstrating some of the non-conventional exercises that we do to try and separate ourselves from some of the similar things people have seen before.
Social media is revolutionizing the advertising world because when an individual can put a message out there at very, very low cost, and that message can gain traction with millions and millions of people, the marketing and the advertising world are paying very, very careful attention to the idea of authenticity within brands.
I use social networks to find other artists or musicians that share the same interests as me or would like to do work with me. I actually find a lot of bands that I like on MySpace.
I think employers actually use LinkedIn as a way to network with their colleagues, and I think also students are starting to use that as well as an outlet to try to network with employers.
A number of other businesses that were not previously thought of as social media are trying to get into the social media space. Businesses like LinkedIn, Plaxo, Classmates.com that always had an element of social media to them are now trying very much to get much more fundamentally into the social media arena. Well, there's no question that social media is here to stay. When the internet first came on stream, everybody got into chat rooms. Nobody goes to chat rooms anymore because they're so basically impersonal and the medium has been around a long time. Now we send email, we IM, we have much more direct and specific communication.
I see that there's a huge change in how people are communicating, but the change is from the bottom up. Younger people are using it. They're born with a mouse in their hands, and it's a wireless mouse, and it's going to be hardwired in their brains before long.
What will happen with social media is that they will morph into new forms. We haven't even begun to see what Facebook of the future will look like.
But as the young kids grow up and run businesses and become parents, I think it'll change all communication.